Every election feels like it poses an existential threat, and we have no idea what kind of life we'll have. If I were to get shot within the next year, I would like us to continue.
SatanCon 2023, where hundreds of Satanists gather.
Why did God lie in the Bible and then brag about lying?
You wicked devil! You're gonna burn in hell!
Satanists are regular people.
Yeah.
We're your next door neighbors.
I'm Selina, and I'm exposing the truth about the controversial religion that is causing Americans to lose their minds.
Do the Satanic Temple members worship Satan?
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
The Satanic Temple?
Satanic Temple.
Satanic Temple.
The Satanic Temple.
You stand here today and embrace your nature, are free-thinking, self-governed, and godless. You too are a Satanist.
I want to know more about the movement, which started in 2013 by co-founders Lucien Greaves and Malcolm Jerry. Are they a religion, political activist group, or are they simply real-life trolls? I'm travelling to Boston to find out who exactly this elusive group are. After a 6-hour flight, we arrived in Boston. Time to rest up. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. Today we're in Boston, Massachusetts. It's a beautiful day. This weekend it is going to be hosting the largest gathering of Satanists of all time at SatanCon. I've got a lot of unanswered questions. I headed to the world-renowned university Harvard to ask students about one of the Satanic Temple's most controversial battlegrounds, abortion. Are you familiar with the Satanic Temple?
You can sort of get an abortion through them as like a legal loophole.
First time I heard about it was when I saw about SatanCon going in Boston, and I thought it was a joke. You know, I definitely agree with what they're doing and what you've told me, but that type of absurdism might not bode well with people that we're actually trying to work with.
Do you think that reproductive rights and women's health is under attack in the US at the moment?
When they went back on Roe v. Wade, it was really sickening. You try to go through every day not remembering it, but it's really hard, especially when people are out there being 10 years old and needing abortions.
Last year, the Supreme Court made a historic overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
The court literally taking America back 150 years.
Abortion rights were rolled back in several states. Access to abortion became extremely limited throughout the country. Quite interestingly, a couple of them knew a bit about the Satanic Temple and were very for what they're doing. Day one in Boston, done. We're on the road to Salem, the birthplace of the Satanic Temple and the home of their headquarters. Also home to the famed town of the witchcraft trials. I feel like everywhere is so quiet here, but it's nice and peaceful. Salem is famous for the witchcraft trials that happened in the 1690s, where women were persecuted because they were doing devilish work. And I kind of feel like there's some similarities to be drawn from how women were treated back then and how women are being treated now. And of course, Salem is home to the Satanic Temple headquarters, which we're going to be checking out a bit later. But first, I want to meet with someone who knows Salem a bit better. We headed to the Salem Witchboard Museum to speak to the owner, John Kozik. This Ouija board museum is the world's only dedicated space to the craft. And yep, it's as creepy and weird and fascinating as it looks.
2004, there was a teenager named Michael McKellum believed he was speaking to Satan on the Ouija board, and he asked, if you're Satan, what would you have me do? The board spelled back K-I-L-L, and he took a giant knife, he stabbed his teenage neighbor to death with it. So these stories do still happen today.
So how are you involved with the Satanic Temple? Are you a member?
No, I don't know. I think just supporting, I guess I just don't call myself anything.
So I wanted to know more about what happened when the Satanic Temple had the arson attack a few years ago. In June 2022, the Satanic Temple faced an arson attack by a Christian extremist. Luckily, no one was hurt.
There's a lot of extremists out there in the world. You know, when you have places that some people would consider controversial, whether it's the Satanic Temple or Ouija boards, I mean, people have certainly an opinion about them. You kind of don't expect it. So, you know, when it does happen, you can't be too shocked because that's just the world we live in.
Time to say goodbye to John and go find some Satanists to quiz. What do you feel is the best thing that the Satanic Temple has done?
Reproductive rights. It's definitely, that's actually one of the reasons I kind of like decided to join.
Yeah.
That was 100% the reason I joined.
And did you have a religious upbringing?
Came from a super religious household. So like being out here is me being like, Mom and Dad, I don't do your religion anymore.
So now we're going to the Satanic Temple itself. So let's go. Like all religions, there is a base. To find out more about the religious and political group, I sat down with ordained minister Thomas Valor. I'd actually really love to know what the biggest misconception you think there is out there about the Satanic Temple.
The biggest misconception about Satanism is obviously the belief in the supernatural Satan, but then close second is a belief that you have to believe in the supernatural in order to be a legitimate religion, which is totally not the case. We're not an activist group faking being a religion. It is a real religion that our activism is just in line with our belief structure, like a lot, you know?
I'm not totally convinced, and I needed to dig deeper. Why was this group coming under so much scrutiny? Of course, I had to get a quick pic with the infamous Baphomet before we left on our travels to SatanCon. So we just left the Satanic Temple. I will say I didn't get a super welcoming vibe. It kind of felt like they didn't really want us there. But let's see how SatanCon goes tomorrow. We're excited to go. We're ready to speak to some new people and get a bit more of an understanding of what the Satanic Temple is all about. SatanCon Day 1. As if I'm not already anxious enough to meet the SatanCon goers, as soon as we pull up, there are hordes of Christian protesters.
You're so foolish! I have never seen so much foolishness! God hates every one of you! God is going to throw every one of your sorry butts into hell!
We walk back out in sin! We go back out in transgression! But you don't understand, and you don't know, that you need your eyes open in the realm of the Spirit! Hallelujah! Jesus Christ!
The opinions are more than I was expecting, to be honest with you, and yeah, kind of seeing it on TV and stuff is very different to how it is actually here. Time to get our passes and catch the opening ceremony.
This institution of injustice now serves as another arm of a long-standing effort to install permanent Christo-fascist rule by those who forego country for their God. Hail Kennedy!
We arrived at SatanCon. There are traders selling like knickknacks, but then there are also things like the Little Black Chapel, where people are going to get married and renew their vows. It really feels like people have found their crew. First up, I sat down to have a chat with Pastor Jody, who heads up a kinda satanic AA.
I grew up in a Christian family, going through kind of an identity evolution myself, being queer and gender fluid, feeling othered or feeling shamed. I love like religion, community, and supporting each other and doing like activism.
Do the Satanic Temple members worship Satan?
We get that question often. Why Satan? The why Satan question. And this is just our interpretation. And while we don't believe in a literal being, Satan or God, we most definitely believe in what that symbol, that character represents for us, and that's freedom, it's inquiry, it's justice and questioning.
Do you see everyone coming to a middle ground?
There's always going to be people who are pushing for change and progress, and there's always going to be people pushing against it. It's a funny word to use, but I have faith in the kids these days. You see it with sexuality and gender and the change in language and the progress and evolution. I think we're in we're in a good place.
Next, it was time to meet with Shalise Blythe, the person behind the abortion service they provide post Roe v. Wade.
So Sam Alito's mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic, or TST Health is what we call it. It was a reaction to the need to do something. We had to be the ones to advocate for ourselves and make sure that we had the ability to freely practice our religious rights, inherent with our beliefs in bodily autonomy. The way it works is somebody goes on the website, they register to have an appointment with our APRNs and RNs. The provider that actually provides the abortifacients discreetly mail it to whatever address in New Mexico that person wants it sent, and then there that person can engage in the religious abortion ritual. Everything is strictly confidential, and we do provide support not only before and during, but also after.
Unfortunately, my interview with Shalise got cut short, so we headed downstairs to see what the protesters were up to. We're right next to the protesters who have come to confront the SatanCon goers. They're kind of scary and just wild. And I just wonder if they've even read the website of the Satanic Temple. They literally don't worship Satan. So I'm like, why are you here? Also interested to understand why they're here and not outside other religious spaces. Next, we spoke to a very unhinged man.
We're here to try and help them understand that in order to make it to heaven, you gotta come through Jesus Christ. Most of these people don't even believe in heaven, but just because they don't believe in it doesn't mean it's not a real thing. Obviously they're not normal people. They don't dress normal, they don't act normal. There are certain things that make things abnormal. If you look at these guys, that's not abnormal hair.
I just want to have a look at your sign, a picture of a dead baby's head. Do you think that that's accurate?
They also are doing a mock abortion in their convention today. They're going to celebrate a baby being killed. If you don't want a child, give it up for adoption. It's very simple.
He then went off on one about gay couples.
The reason they shouldn't be raising children, number one, immoral people raising children, then immoral things happen to those children. When the AIDS epidemic came out, the gay community, they have no commitment, they have nothing. They just have sex with each other and willy-nilly, and they don't care.
After that vile conversation, I'm headed back up to SatanCon for some normality. I learned that abortion is really, really a big thing here. It's really on the forefront of everyone's mind. Anyone you speak to, be it Satanic Temple members or protesters outside, abortion is really number one. Before we call it a day, it's time to check out the Satanic Ball, which is basically just one huge satanic party. We are exhausted, but it's been a very interesting day. I've seen a lot. It's been a feast for the eyes. I'm kind of getting the feeling that they're massive trollers and the religion is more for community, but maybe some of them would disagree. We are going to speak to some more people tomorrow and dig a little deeper and find out a bit more. But for now, good night. SatanCon Day 2. The devil works hard, but Christian evangelical protesters work harder. Today, the white nationalist group Patriot Front turned up, so that was cool, I guess. Today was Operation Chat to Lucien Greaves. We arranged to speak to him one-on-one that evening, so decided to catch his speech to suss him out.
I have no idea why this conference generated so much media, and the fact that we opened a telehealth abortion clinic got nearly nothing. If it were up to us, we'd have access wherever. If they do shut down telehealth clinics, we'll be the first ones in court and the only ones with a real active claim as a matter of religious liberty.
We were then invited to the Little Black Chapel to witness an unbaptism and gender reaffirmation ritual. It's a first for me.
Yeah.
A bit nervous, not gonna lie.
Close the doors here in a few minutes.
What's gonna happen?
The divorce of unbaptism. You are here to shed yourself of your previous submissions, and in doing so, you are reborn into your chosen life. In nomine Dei nostri Satanas, Lucifer excelsi. Baptism is an outward visible sign of submission to a non-existent deity. Baptized in the name of a narcissistic God, a God that cares more for the sanctity of their own name than the welfare of their people? Do you reject God? Do you wish to renounce your faith of your past and be free from its bonds, rejecting your baptism forever?
I do.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
You are no longer a part of the archaic faith. You are subject to no God, save yourself. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
We just witnessed a gender-reaffirming ritual and an unbaptism and a destruction ceremony. Quite emotional, actually. The person that was having their gender reaffirmation ritual done was very present in the moment. They all hugged afterwards. It was very cute. It's actually made me think about my own beliefs in religion. Sometimes the rituals that they do here and the actions that they do here do feel a little bit unserious. And it kind of makes you question your superstitious beliefs and what you think is important within religion and like spirituality. The time had come to speak to the man who started it all, Lucien Greaves. His band, Satanic Planet, were playing at a bar in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Can you just tell me what you were doing pre-2013 before the Satanic Temple?
I was working a normal job, and then I quit. I started doing live interviews and things like that. I don't think I could get another job again. The theocratic right has done a really good job of installing judges that will rule in their favor when we feel it directly violates constitutional principles.
Does the Satanic Temple want to kind of have that political presence within the government?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think at the core of it, I feel like our values really do align with what we think American constitutional principles really are. Freedom of speech and expression, the First Amendment is often our defense in many things, just government viewpoint neutrality. People are often offended that they claim we use the name Satan just to provoke people or whatever. That's not really the case. This is meaningful to us. They can be offended by it, but they should understand the value in having this government neutrality that allows us to act.
Do you think that by creating a new religion, how is that kind of going to help in any way?
I think we've kind of shown that we can separate religion from our projects that are still meaningful to us, like we do with our after-school Satan Club. We're not teaching children Satanism, but we were concerned by evangelical clubs proselytizing to children. If we just teach science, critical thinking, and other such things. We don't get into issues of religion. For some people, the work we do for secular activism is something they embrace, but the Satan part of it isn't. And the Satan part of it is important to us. And if you don't feel that, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. You know, you can still have those values, but it's just not Satanism. For some of us, embracing blasphemy is very liberating. It's something like, even if we're not compelled to do black masses anymore to show ourselves that those vestiges of superstition have no hold of us anymore, it's still something that was very important in our lives.
What is happening in the next 10 years and what would you like to see in the next 10 years?
You know, we're in this horrific state now where it's like every election feels like it poses an existential threat, and we have no idea what kind of life we'll have. I am hopeful that we are a long-term presence. If I were to get shot within like the next year or whatever, the Satanic Temple itself wouldn't be any the weaker for it. I think we've had such an effect on at least a certain segment of culture that's not going to go away.
Whilst the tenets he lives by and fights for are right in my eyes, I still couldn't see past all of the extremities. Our final day in Boston. After our bags were packed, it was time to take on SatanCon for the last time. I came into this experience thinking that Satanists were a group of scary, edgy anarchists who lived without fear of consequence. It turns out they're actually quite harmless. The Satanists we met were just geeky, friendly do-gooders who loved the Gothic aesthetic and wanted to find a community as far away from their Christian roots as possible.
You wicked devil! You're gonna burn in hell. Just because you don't believe in God or Satan doesn't mean it's not real. Children of the devil,
because hell
you are
is
wicked
inconsistent with
children
God.
of the devil.
Worship whatever want to be
You need to be ashamed of yourself. You need to be ashamed of yourself. I don't need to prove you there's a God. It's quite simple, quite obvious there's a God. It's quite obvious.
Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you.
I wonder why he didn't lie in the Bible.
You know what? He loves you.
Why did God lie in the Bible and then brag about lying?
No, lying came from
No. Why did God say that if the prophet gets something wrong, then I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet? That's God bragging about lying.
You are thinking that one. What about the other? Why don't
What about the other ones where God lied and then also admitted to lying, where he put the lying spirit into the mind of the prophet? Why is God lying to these prophets?
I could have spent all day watching these interactions, but I had organised an interview with the ministers of the Little Black Church, Riley and Ada, to understand what it is they actually do. Can you explain the unbaptism ceremony to me and what the ritual involves?
The idea at the core of it is that you are taking claim and ownership and autonomy over your body. A lot of us were forced into different faiths and traditions as we were growing up, and the idea is that you're being able to choose your own path, become your own person.
The unbaptism is a breaking of bonds from religious indoctrination that we've all experienced regardless of upbringing or personal experience because of Abrahamic supremacy. I've done, I would say, 666 unbaptisms, roughly. I'm 25. I joined the Satanic Temple when I was 19. My colleagues are older and they're like, we're not doing TikTok, etc. But I think it's really important because we have so many people on TikTok that are not only looking for information, but there's also people spreading misinformation about us. I think we need representation for our newer generation, and I'm kind of trying to spearhead that movement. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a lot of Gen Z are, kind of on fire and are like, yes, let's do this, let's fight for it, and understanding the satanic ideals of compassion and adversary.
I think that there's a lot of bigotry against Satanists. I think that there's a lot of folks that say some really discriminatory things without meaning to. Things like, oh yeah, I love what you do, but why do you have to do the Satan thing?
We are a religion. We're an organized religion.
Right.
We have a set of tenets that we follow. We have community, we have churches, we have chapels, we have ceremonies.
It's essential that people are able to look past the scary Satan, spooky, see who we are and support the work, because we're uniquely positioned to be able to stop these people from stripping more human rights away.
Do you think that there's ever going to be widespread interest of the Satanic Temple with this kind of aesthetic?
Satanists are not just goth and covered in tattoos.
Right.
Satanists are regular people.
Yeah.
We're your next door neighbors.
Before heading out, I wanted to catch the closing ceremony.
It's not for anything other than everyone here in this room. So thank you for that.
So I had a really lovely chat with Riley and Ada from the Little Black Chapel, and they really want to see it reach a wider demographic, like a Gen Z audience, a younger audience, and really get the new gen on board with Satanism. I just don't really know how the aesthetic is going to combat everything. Met a lot of the geeky, dark, black Comic-Con characters. I've met the progressive liberals. I've met the protesters. I've met the head of the temple and the top-tier organization. I think at the core of it, at the core of the community, at the core of the people, their intentions are really good. I do still have a few question marks over where the temple is going and who's going to take it forward. I personally still feel like it's too divisive. In a divisive America as is, as we've seen with the fundamental Christian protesters, it just still feels to me that they're trying to combat division with more division. People like Riley and Ada do give me hope, because I think that they see that, and I think that they see that there is a bit of a missing link with the people that understand their tenets and understand their mission, but can't really get down with the name and the aesthetic and the kind of general dark gothic vibe. I'm not sure I've been converted either way, and I still feel like my little Hindu self. I just wish that there was a bit more cohesion and a bit more coming together, I think, is what this world needs. I look forward to seeing what's next for the Satanic Temple. Their work on abortion, given the state of the US at the moment, can only be described as admirable. But for now, I'm taking my Satan-adjacent self back to London.